Sushmita Keshav and welcome to my channel. For today's video, I am going to be attempting to make Bon Appétit's cherry cobbler. So let's head to the kitchen. This cherry recipe is made in two parts. The first part is the preparation of our dough that goes on top of our cherry filling. So to make this dough, we need 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons powdered sugar, half a tablespoon baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of lemon zest. Now I'm gonna use the lemon zest here, and the juice I'll be using for the filling of cherries. And I have 1/4 cup of butter which I've cubed up, and it is cold. Make sure that your butter is cold. It gives you a flaky pastry or flaky dough more. So after you put in your butter in, just rub it in with the flour. Just use your fingers and do this like so. Now you should be working quickly because you don't want your butter to melt completely. You want the butter to be about the size of a pea. So just crumble it in quickly. Once the butter is incorporated, you will need 2/3 cup of chilled heavy cream and a fork. Now, and also the thing is, you should not be mixing in your butter too much. You want it to be seen like a little bit of like lumps. Now I'll drizzle in the cold chilled heavy cream slowly, and I'll keep whisking so that it gets incorporated well. The reason I'm using a fork here is because I don't want the butter to melt, and it will melt by the heat of my hand. The dough will be a very wet dough. So don't worry about it. Now I'll dust some flour so that I can turn out my dough on the counter. If you have a dough scraper, do use it. It will help you a lot. I'll dust more on top. Now with a rolling pin, I'll just flatten it out. I'm going to form it into a rectangle so that I can shape it easily. I want the thickness to be about 3/4 inch. Now I just cut my dough into fourths. And I'll stack it on top of each other. See, this is where your dough scraper will come in handy, because I don't have one. I'm just using my knife. And even you, if you're using a knife and doing this, please be careful, do not cut yourself. Now flatten it down. a little more flour. Now I'm rolling out my pastry dough to about 1/4 inch thick. Okay, after you roll it out, if you have a good cookie cutter, 1.5 inch diameter of cookie cutter, you can use it. I don't have a cookie cutter, so I'm gonna make do. Now I start cutting the dough into circles. I have a cap here, which is about the same size. So I'll just make indentations and cut circles around. Make sure you coat your knife and dough scrapers with flour so that they don't stick. It's not perfect, but it'll do. I have cut out the dough into almost circles. Now I'm going to put them in the fridge to chill and then make my filling. Now let's assemble the cherry filling. You will need 1 pound of cherries. I have already prepared the cherries and I'll show you how I did that. Take the cherries, wash and dry them. Remove the stalk. Okay. Now I'll just take a knife and cut it all the way around. Now I'll twist. Half of it comes off. The one where the stone is, I'll just put in my thumb and pull out the stone. I'll repeat this process for all the cherries. So that was 1 pound of cherries with stones removed. 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. This is 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch. 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon powder. 2 pinches of salt. Half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. A little bit more by mistake. And about 2 drops of almond extract. Make sure not to add too much of your almond extract because it will give a very weird taste, like a funky sour taste. I don't want to drop too much, that is why I'm using a spoon just to be careful. A teeny amount of almond extract. I'll mix it all through. Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you, make sure that your oven is on and it is preheated to 400 degrees. I did do that. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention it. Make sure that your oven is preheated before you start making the filling. I'm gonna be baking these in these individual cups. They are oven safe, or you could just make one whole batch by putting it all into one baking dish. Make sure that your baking dish is on top of a tray so that there is no spillage and you have no accidents. If you don't have any, you can just use these, fill them up, and again place a baking dish below to make sure that you are safe. And just mix it all up and fill them. The cherries are filled. Now I'll arrange the biscuits on top. The biscuits are nice and chilled. I'm arranging these biscuits next to each other, and I'm not layering them on top of each other so that they will rise up and not sideways. So make sure that you press them together and not overlap them. And also be sure that you don't have too many cherries. I did that. I removed a few so that my biscuits don't fall off and they nest in properly like this. I here 1.5 tablespoons of butter I have melted in, and it is not hot. Make sure that it is not hot because we don't want to melt these. And just dab it on. Please use a oil brush or pastry brush, whatsoever it is, to brush on the butter. It'll be easier for you. And also I have lined the baking dish with parchment paper down below. I have 1 tablespoon of raw sugar. You can also use brown sugar if you don't have raw sugar. I'm just gonna sprinkle it on top. This is gonna caramelize and be yummy. These are ready to go into the oven now. I have preheated my oven to 400 degrees. The first 10 minutes I will bake them at 400 and then reduce the temperature to 350, and then I'll bake them for another 50 to 60 minutes. So that's 10 minutes first at 400 and then 50 to 60 minutes at 350. So it's been about 10 minutes now, and I'm going to reduce the temperature now to 350 degrees. And now I'm going to bake this for another 50 to 60 minutes. Okay, since my cherry cobblers were individual portions, they actually baked a little faster. They took me around 43 to 45 minutes. So that is one thing. When you have kept it in the oven, make sure you keep an eye on it so that it doesn't burn. And I have served my cherry cobbler with some French vanilla ice cream and some whipped cream. And I've sprinkled a little bit of cocoa on top of my whipped cream. Enjoy! If you like this video, show it some love and click on the like button. And please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Bye!